found him in the yard on his own and decided it'd be a good idea to, when he come over next to me, to climb up on top of him, which I did. And that was okay. I could go for those walks and that with him in that yard, but if he was outside of that yard, I hadn't been on him, and back then I didn't know any different. So what my grandfather come and got him and put a head collar on him and a bridle and was leading me around, and Flicker, I think a lot of kids had a horse called Flicker. So Flicker decided he'd get the bucket and drop me pretty hard on some pretty tough red sand, dirt, dirt sand, but it was pretty hard back at the time. And my grandfather got me back up with a fair bit of screaming and yelling and got me back up onto the horse's back, and then somehow manoeuvred the horse and his body to stop him from bucking. Now, Flicker threw everyone on that property and did it time and time again. He could really buck quite well. There came a point where I could ride Flicker without, I used to jump Flicker over board drains knowing that when we got on the other side what was coming. But that was done because it was starting to become fun. I was about 12 when that stuff started. So, and, it just depended where you landed on that other side, whether you landed in the galvanised burr or whether you were able to try and get a soft bit of dirt somewhere, but it was a lot of fun. So what I came up with my grandfather's stuff, and I started doing, my uncle had taught me how to watch and how to manage working with cattle and horses, but we're talking about cattle body language. So I knew that, and then I started at about 18, I started working for different people, and over time I've started putting stuff together. So I'm the only person in Australia that I know of that uses neuro-linguistic programming to start people and horses from go to woe. This guy's been handled. He hasn't been ridden before, but he definitely has been handled. The bay horse over there was 10-year-old. He had his first and second ride today. So young Robbo Bradley from Walgett took him through that process for his rides, and he did quite well. So in the finish, we had, and all I wanted to do to start with is to walk. I wanted to be polite. I don't want to get on and go for a bronc ride or have a rush around a yard or anything like that. I want the horse to do it and manage doing it and doing it in a way that he's, one, that he's on all fours, that he's balanced, he's got good posture, but he's got a calm mind, and he's thinking about the process of what he's doing, and to keep both horse and rider safe, and to keep them. The biggest things in the horse world, I feel, that cause people problems are fear and anger and anxiety. So when anxiety comes in, it kind of changes everything because that becomes fear of the future. Instead of just being fear of the past, it brings everything together, and it makes it so that it can be very, very uncomfortable for people to go on and do the stuff that they probably could have or should have or would have liked to have. So my strategies within what I do, it starts at goal setting. So for this session, I'll take you through what we've got here, which is the Horse Whisperer's Secret and the Pathway. So there's that stuff. You guys interested in any of that? Yes? Okay. Robbo, would you run this over, please?
Okay. Is it a rescue horse?
No. He's a Heritage Australian stock horse, this fella. So he's rising 7 next year. He's very well bred. He's he's been saddled, but he hasn't been ridden before. So he's came down. The horses that I was going to put on the truck, I was unable to. We had 75 mil of rain, and the yards were just too sloshy. It become unsafe to do it. So he's come down for the ride because I could go on with him. We haven't used him so much because when he came, he didn't keep drinking water. There was a change in water. I was supposed to be here on the Tuesday. I didn't get here till the Wednesday night, so it was a bit tucked up. So I didn't want to bring him out in front of the crowd. Today he looks a bit better. So for the last session, we'll use him. Yeah. So, yeah, no, my pleasure. So what we look at doing, we set a series of goals. And if you have a look at that brochure, it's called the Horse Whisperer's Secret. So what we've just finished filming is the Horse Whisperer's Pathway, which takes them all the way up to just before they get rode. Yep. So it gets them to the point where a vet can handle them. If they get stuck in a fence, you can get them out of that fence safely. A lot of what I handle are 2, 3, 4-year-old, maybe even older. I don't handle so many foals, which I should, but I don't. So they're older horses, um, that we handle, and it's about being able to work with them, but not let them go sour, not let them go into any kind of negative kind of patterns or strategies, keeping them free, keeping them positive, and keeping them moving forward. So the goal for him is to work. I'll work within that the Horse Whisperers pathway this afternoon, and then so we do a mental assessment, and the mental assessment with him is I go through the horse's values, their beliefs. So right now, instinctual instincts, he's feeding, he's been drinking, he's not as tucked up as what he was. It won't hurt him to go for a 15-minute workout. Yeah, he can do that. So number two is all about the tribe, the family, the herd, the mob. So people aren't too much different. If we can put the same linguistic patterns in when working with them, with to a set of strategies and a sequence, we get so much more out of them. So I've demonstrated this time after time where I've had a horse go around just walking after never been touched, virtually untouched. And I've had people jump horses into yards to do it. This time, that's not what's happened. There's been some green horses, there's been some older horses. They come in with different issues. But in saying that, now that I've changed a little bit in the last couple of years, there's no rush now. I just want to work with a horse organically and make sure that that horse stays calm in its mind and not wild. So this guy here, so a mental assessment. So values one, values two, he's definitely got. Values three goes into fight or flight, the stress response. Looking to not let him go there. Values four, he's working within the system, and that system's my system. I'll run you through that very shortly. We look for the main components I look for at this area is compliance and consistency, respect and trust. And then we start working on things like accountability and responsibility. You don't just trust someone with your car. You don't just trust someone with your saddle or your horse. They never come back the same. Yeah. So that trust has to be earned, and that's through respect. So when I come over here, um, before entering the yard, we just went through goals. So the goal is to get him to go around. I want to work with him with body language, verbal commands, and kinesthetic, and I want him to respond, not react. He's done one session down here. That's all he did. He did one session, and then we put him away because he's just a bit tucked up, as I said. So when I look at him physically, he looks reasonably sound to me. He's a little bit dull in the coat, indicating he may need it, like he obviously needs a drench. And by the tail, you can see that as well. But he looks okay. There's no lumps, cuts, abrasions that's going to stop him from working here right now. In his mindset, we just went through that. So values one, values two, values four. We're hoping to put him into that and stay away from that values three stuff. He's walking around the yard. He's balanced. He's got nice posture about him. Yeah, he's ready to go. So so we've gone through goals, mental assessment, physical assessment. We're now going to start to look at the next step of what we're doing. So normally what I used to do is enter the yard and walk straight to the middle of the yard. I don't do that now. I stay over here. And the understanding that I've got of him, so we're going to go through things like his history, his temperament, his type, his conformation, the trip that he's had, his experiences in life, but definitely his breeding as well. So he's a Heritage Australian stock horse. He's got plenty of energy. They're the kind of a horse that you don't want to take on into a battle. You just want to work with them. And that's what I intend to do with this guy. Again, it's part of his initial steps. He has had stuff done with him, but to go back through this process is what I want to do. And this is what will be carried on when he goes home. And I'll put that on YouTube and Facebook. So he's walking around the yard. So we've got that understanding. He's got that confidence. Does he look confident? Does he look reassured? They are the next steps that come into place. G'day, guys. How are you? Welcome. I'm Patrick. So we come to here and then body language in a yard, and it's kind of quite easy to work through, but I'm in the middle of this yard. If I was to draw a circle around, I'm virtually gonna follow that around. So I come back here and there's an ideal yard size, and that yard size is 10 metres, and there's a specific reason for that. And that reason is at 10 metres, a horse's personal space is 12 feet, 5.5 metres roughly. they're not going to go out over the top if they get too much pressure on them, yeah? So he's just gone into a trot. So we're just going to let him follow this yard. And we're going to let him go into that trot to start with. As I said, I haven't been working with him, so this is the start of the process for him. Is that, Robbo, can you grab that mic for me, please, mate? Oh, you haven't got it on anyway. Is it all right? Yeah. So he's gone around once, twice. We'll take him back this other way. You can see he's quite athletic. He doesn't have to try real hard and he can do stuff, yeah. As soon as he starts to respond to what I ask, I take the pressure off. And so that's 2 laps. So we'll go back this other way. Draw him out off the fence. Encourage him to come up. Good boy. So he's gone into a bit of a canter there. I'd say he's going to have a canter on him like a rocking horse when he gets going. Not pushing him too hard in here. The yard's got some corners and that, so for safety reasons, I don't want him to hurt himself. Take him, whoop. And we'll just bring him back into what we're doing now. This is body language that we're working on. I can take a horse that's relatively unbroken and do just what I've just done right now. And they're able to do that and stay engaged, yeah? The body language makes up 58% of communication. The next step when it comes to communication is verbal. So when we were babies, I guess the next thing was to cry for our mother or to cry for someone and to sing out or make that noise that we either needed changing or we needed a feed or we needed something. So when I turn around with this guy now, you can see that he's engaged with me. His ears are kind of pointing towards where he's thinking about going, but his eyes are pointing towards where his body is going. So if I come over here, and what I'm going to do is take on his worldview and go in the direction he's already pointing. So I'm training him, but I'm not training him to be a dictatorship. I'm training him to work with me. So when I come over, I say walk, walk, walk on. And that's what I'm trying to do. We've gone into verbal commands now. Walk. And you can see there's a bit of a shift. There's a bit of a change within him. He's walking free. He's quite kind with what he's doing. He's got his head down. He's just thinking about the job in front and he's doing it. Watch where his ears are, watch where his body position is, watch where mine is, and kind of go on this journey with him. Walk on, good boy. And all I want him to do is walk, not to go into that trot, but just to stay walking. Walk on. Yeah, I know. And you'll see walk on. And you'll see walk, oi, walk on. And you'll see with going around, he's kind of run through me a couple of times there now. So I'll make sure that I'm on top of it. Now walk on, walk on, walk on, walk on, walk, on, walk on, walk on, walk. And the body language in the yard, it really is a walk on. It really is a dance. And it's a dance that you kind of want to perfect it to get the most out of your horse. You can see now that he was testing my boundaries as what I was going to do with him. So within him testing me, the idea is to make sure that we're direct but as permissive as well to get the most out of what we're asking for him. So 1 lap proves he can do it. The second lap, it then becomes a pattern. And the pattern is what we're looking to establish here. Trot on. Good boy. Good boy. Whoa. And that's what we want for him to do. That's body language and verbal commands. You can do that with an unbroken horse. It takes a little bit longer, probably 10 minutes longer, but that's all that's needed, yeah? It's not that hard to be able to achieve that kind of stuff, yeah? So once we got that happening, I guess the next section that we need to do is to start looking at kinesthetic, looking at how we work with him Do you know what kinesthetic? Does anyone not know what kinesthetic is? Or yeah, so I'll just explain it. Kinesthetic is we're looking at feelings, we're looking at touch, what something, and so that can be either with inside or tactile. So if I go over to him and just approach him, hello. And you can see that's my first touch of him since we started. So I'm just going to let my hand run down the contour of his face, up and under, and just keep that touch in a welcoming kind of a touch. I'm not trying to push him away or be too light or too flimsy with him. I just want him to allow me just to start to touch him and to make that so that we're able to work with him. So come to this side, and he's let me on that side. He's just put me on that side. And some people, you look at things and you think, oh, that was a, fluke or an accident. There's no such thing as a fluke or an accident. Things happen because you set it up or he set it up. We're working as a team in here. And I know I'm not the only one in here. He's working as well. So again, you can see the direction that he's going. So the goal is the same this time as what it was last time. 2 laps, 2 laps, turn, 2 laps, 2 laps, turn, 2 laps, 2 laps. The only thing is that I can say is the conscious mind is the goal setter and the unconscious mind is the goal getter. So if I'm the conscious mind, I'm going to set the goal and this guy's going to go out and achieve it. So I'm just going to jump on his offside here and just ask him to walk on. Walk on. Good boy. So we've now got body language, we've got verbal commands, walk on. And we've got whatever I'm doing with the lead when it's in my fingers, yeah? And you can see his head's kind of walk on. And you can see there's been no mistakes as yet. He hasn't run through anything. He hasn't done anything wrong. Walk. So we'll do one more lap and then we'll let him come back. Walk on, walk, walk, walk on. So when he's stopping, he's looking for direction. Walk on. And you can see the way the head is turned into me. He's got his nose towards me. That's a pretty integral part of why they don't buck when I get my rider to go on top. As long as you set them up right and you look after them right and you make sure that you respect them, most horses are able to do this quite easily and it doesn't take that long. Go back that other way. We'll push him into the trot. So this time going through this process, he hasn't tried to run through anything. He hasn't done anything wrong. It's really interesting when you put the whole three together, the difference that makes. And I believe that's the difference that does make the difference in getting your horses to be able to work with you and be definitely work as a companion in the yard. Good boy. Whoa. 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 So there we've gone through right up like some components that we've gone through. So we've gone through compliance, consistency, respect and trust. But now we've got to start looking at other stuff like, so he has been handled, as you know, but just a quick demonstration on this is when we get our rag on a stick on and he's kind of putting me off onto that offside. So I'm going to go that way first, work with him on that and just come down him and just see where he's at with going around him. He should be okay, so he is. He's had an old bloke handle him, and he's quiet, he's calm, he's confident, and he's doing everything that he should be doing. He just hasn't done very much down here in the last couple of days. So go back around this other side, follow the contours of his body, back around, put it in his flank, put the whip into his flank, hold it in, don't try and move it too much. So come back over here. I'll just crack this head collar up a little bit. So we've got a couple of different pathways people can take. So we've got the horse whisperers pathway. That's $8.95 here at the field days. That takes a horse up to this point that we've just got to, plus tying up. The tie up is as easy as this. And most horses tie up as quickly as what we've just done, but you've got to be careful with it as well. There's a little bit more to it than what I'm doing. But after just going around in the circle that we've just gone through, there's a reason why they stop and they do this. And that's because of what we're doing with our fingers as they go around in that circle. It's also that the horse is taught or programmed to keep their nose on the person. So that's the horse whisperers pathway, guys. Thank you. What takes me an hour and a half to demonstrate, I can't teach in 6 days. There's too much there when you start going into the nuances of it and the sequences and the patterns. And see you, ma'am. Lovely to meet you. There's just too much to it. Like it takes, like I've done clinics with other trainers and you can do 14, 15-hour days and you just don't get it all out. There's no way in the world you do. Yeah, and I'll come out and have a yarn to you. Thank you. Yeah, that's okay. I'll leave the rope on the ground for a reason. So, eh? Yes, yes. So when the rope's on the ground, I said to a mate of mine, I used to do that as a kid, and I said, that's pretty amateurish. Not like, and this guy had won a number of Australian titles, and I noticed he was doing it. And his response to me, and he said, really, why? And he smiled at me. And I said, well, because you're using that to catch him. He said, no, I'm using that for something else. And I said, oh, to break at the pole. He said, no, I'm using it to break at the wither. And so he was going deeper into it than what I could see. But it was quite amazing how he did it. So he's asking, and it does more than that as well. When you do that, if you've got horses that you've just put a lead on and you've just finished, it teaches them to start responding to the lead rope. When they step on it, it teaches them to be handled around the legs somewhat. It does so many things. We obviously don't leave it there. Like we go and get it. But like to start with, it does a lot of things that it's going to save us time as people. And at the end of the day, like to train these guys, the Australian stock horse, they've got a little bit more energy than other horses. The quarter horse is very, very different. They're a little bit more withdrawn, a little bit more docile. And people say, yeah, that depends on type and breed. Yeah, it does, of course. But my experience, that's what that was. So these guys, they've got a lot of energy. They're the kind of horse that if you do take them on and you work with them, you get a lot out of them really, really fast. As you could see when he was going around there, he's extremely athletic. He can move, he can boogie. He's designed to boogie. That's his whole, what he's made to do. He can also do 100 Ks a day or go close to it once they're fit. If they're out there working, they do a lot of kilometres. And they're designed to be resilient, to come home and go again. So that's what that's all about, yeah. Did you have horses, sir, or do you have horses? Yes, lovely. Yes, okay. Yes. 13, oh, wow, yeah. Right. Wow, that's a big horse, yeah. Oh, lovely. Yeah, lovely. Yes, yeah, okay, nice. Guys, how'd you go far?
Right, next
Yeah.
battery.
Yeah, for sure. Did you enjoy that? Yeah. So have you still got the horses or are you still riding them?